was told not to say this, but for the longest time I always wished I was someone else, or at least had another body. As far back as I could remember, I was always the prettiest girl around. And from as little as 5 years old, even strangers approached me and told me how lovely I was, and what a beautiful smile I had, even when I tried to hide it. Sometimes I got tired of the compliments and decided to look as unattractive as I could by wearing ill-fitting clothes or not smiling. But it seemed like no matter what I did, I could never hide my beauty. To make matters worse, I knew how to play a lot of instruments, more than I could count. My dad recognized my fascination for music and was extremely happy. He decided to teach me as much as he could, and we spent almost every free time we had together playing musical instruments. He started from the piano, and I could see him grinning from ear to ear as I quickly picked it up and learned to play it. The day I finally mastered it, we went out to my favorite restaurant, and I was allowed to order whatever I wanted. Can I have a chocolate chip ice cream?
Of course you can, sweetie, but if I were you, I wouldn't eat too much of it.
Why?
Too much ice cream can destroy your teeth, and no one wants to listen to a piano player with missing teeth.
After learning the piano, my dad decided to move on to others, depending on my interest in the instrument. He never forced or imposed any instrument on me. In fact, oftentimes, I was the one who went to disturb him to teach me to play an instrument, and he always obliged with a smile on his face. Learning and playing with my dad was always enjoyable for both of us. He called me a musical genius because of how quickly I learned and how well I could play after a short time of learning. He decided to enroll me into some musical talent competitions, and I was miles ahead of my competition, winning every single one with ease. Most of the competitions I participated in were when I was barely 10, and there I was, winning against some children who were 4 or 5 years older. My musical talent brought me a lot of admirers, but it also brought about a lot of jealousy. And surprisingly, most of it came from girls. This was not restricted to just the girls in my school, but it seemed that every girl I met instantly grew jealous of me. Click the like and subscribe button to show that you're not a jealous human. Right up to high school, I hardly had any female friends. And on the rare occasions that I did, they didn't seem to stick around after they found out just how talented I was. "Fred, why don't I have any friends?" I said to my twin brother one day. It was something that had been bothering me.
Myra, who says you don't have any friends? You have me.
Fred said, smiling. "You don't count. You're my brother."
That is such a hurtful thing to say. You're breaking my heart, Myra.
He replied, playfully clutching his chest and feigning a broken heart. "I'm being serious, Fred. You have lots of friends, but I don't seem to have any."
Well, since you want to be serious, I would say that it might be that maybe they are intimidated by you and view you as a threat.
A threat? How am I a threat?
Because you can do lots of things that they can't. You're also extremely smart and beautiful, and I guess they're just jealous.
I listened to what he said, and I thought about it a little more. I guess he was right. They were intimidated by everything I could do, coupled with the fact that I was also beautiful and smart. I tried making more female friends, but it all ended in failure. I had no trouble with boys, as they all seemed to like me, sometimes a little too much. My brother was my closest friend and confidant, and he was a very easygoing and likable person who had a lot of friends. And because we hung out a lot, by extension, his friends slowly started becoming my friends too. In school, I walked past a bright poster and stopped to check it out. Displayed on it was information about a modeling competition to be held in the school. Anyone and everyone was invited to participate. As I continued reading the poster, I was suddenly surrounded by 3 girls. I could recognize one of them. Her name was Tabitha, and she was well known around the school. I had no idea who the other 2 girls with her were. They were probably her friends.
"Hey, your name's Myra, right?"
Tabitha asked. Yes. Is anything the matter?"
"Thinking about registering for the competition?"
she asked, pointing at the poster. "Well, I only just saw it, but I don't think I will."
"Why? Come on, don't tell me you're shy. What have you got to lose? Besides, you have a really nice body. I think you've got a shot at winning."
"Really? You think so?" I was surprised and excited at this sudden vote of confidence. If anyone knew anything about beauty, it was surely Tabitha. She was one of the most beautiful girls in the school.
"Of course I think so. Don't you guys think so?"
She asked as she gestured to her friends. They both nodded their heads in approval and chimed in with their thoughts on why they thought I should register and compete. They also offered to give me tips and help give me the best shot at winning the competition. I was surprised at their offer and their warmness and kindness towards me. Maybe I could finally have some female friends. We talked for a while before they left, leaving me standing there and smiling to myself. They'd finally convinced me to register for the competition, and that was what I was going to do. The day of the competition arrived, and I met up with Tabitha and her friends. They brought me a dress to wear, as they had earlier promised. Tabitha said it was one of hers. Wow, she even gave me her dress. She was a true friend. I wore the dress and it fit perfectly. Thank you for the dress, Tabitha. I really appreciate it, I said to her.
You're welcome. And please, stop calling me Tabitha. Call me Tabby. It's what my friends call me.
She replied amidst smiles. Okay, Tabby.
How about a little makeup?
Tabby offered.
Everyone needs a little makeup.
I'm not really a fan of makeup. I never use makeup, I objected.
Come on, just a little. Besides, everyone competing in this modeling competition is going to be wearing makeup.
All right, just a little. I finally relented. I sat for a few minutes as Tabby applied the makeup. I must admit, she was pretty good at makeup, and it seemed to enhance my beauty, but I knew not to get used to it as I didn't know when next I would decide to wear makeup.
You look gorgeous,
Tabby declared as soon as she had finished with my face.
Here, drink this.
One of Tabby's friends handed me a can. What's this? I asked, puzzled.
It's an energy drink. To keep your energy up, modeling competitions are notoriously time-consuming and energy draining, so you'll need this to keep your strength.
Tabby answered. All right, I said as I emptied the entire contents of the can. After I was done with the energy drink, Tabby also handed me something in a circular container. It contained cream. Before I could ask what it was, Tabby said to me,
The cream is used to prevent sweating. Sweat will ruin your makeup. And you know it's going to be hot when you're under all those bright lights and among the contestants in that crowded hall. You're going to need to apply it on your neck and arms. It also makes you glow and look good.
Okay. I applied the cream as instructed. We took a couple of selfies together, and soon it was my turn. I was called up to the catwalk, and I walked just as Tabby and her friends had taught me. I could hear cheers from those present, and this encouraged me. But halfway through my walk, my skin started to itch me, precisely the places where I had applied that cream given to me. What was happening? I also began to notice huge red welts forming on my skin almost instantaneously. I tried as hard as I could to ignore them, and had to restrain myself to keep myself from itching. I continued walking, but soon enough, I became drowsy and started seeing double. I stopped for a moment and tried to say something or call for help, but hard as I tried, I could not make my lips move or make any recognizable sound. Since I had difficulty moving forwards, I decided to try and move backwards. And it worked for a split second, until my heel broke and I could feel the entire weight of my body collapse on my ankles. Everything seemed to be moving in slow motion as I collapsed and hit my head against something. My vision was fading and my eyes were closing. But before everything went black, I noticed Tabby and her friends laughing and pointing at me. One of them was even still taking pictures of me. And then everything went black. I wasn't surprised when I woke up in the hospital some hours later. My parents were beside me when I awoke, and I could see the relief on their faces as I opened my eyes and spoke. It was obvious that they had been with me all through the time I was unconscious. The doctor soon came in and explained that the energy drink I had ingested was the cause of my drowsiness and eventual collapse on stage. He also said that the cream was the chief culprit for the welts on my body. Lucky for me, he said that the effects were not permanent and they would administer some drugs to counter the effects faster. I was in the hospital for a week. And when I returned back to school, I immediately looked for Tabby and her friends to confront them about what they had done to me. I searched for them throughout the school for the whole day before I was later informed that they were not in school. As a matter of fact, they would never be in the school again as they had been expelled, courtesy of my brother, who made sure to gather all the necessary evidence against them, and he didn't rest until they were punished. I was thankful to God for giving me someone like him as a brother. Although the girls were gone, there was nothing my brother or I could do about the pictures of me covered in welts and walking funny, as they had been plastered all over the internet and a significant number of people in the school had seen it. Thankfully, thanks to their short attention span and the never-ending supply of other interesting things to talk about, my incident was very soon forgotten about. and everything went back to normal. At least, it did for everybody else. After what had happened, I begged my parents profusely to enroll me in another school, as I didn't want to go back there. And after days of pleading, they finally agreed, and I switched to another school. My brother also switched to my school, out of his own volition, because, as he said, he had to protect me and make sure I was safe at all times. In the new school, the same thing threatened to happen. As the girls began to despise me, I joined the girls' clubs in a bid to become closer to them, but as I continually and constantly bested them at every turn, it seemed to drive them farther. I decided to stop caring about their acceptance and joined the boys' groups where I was more accepted and they made me feel comfortable. I decided to remain there and accepted my school life as it was, and we continued with school. Very soon, my twin brother and I graduated from high school and went to college. In college, I was pleasantly surprised to find out that things were different. Everyone, both boys and girls, equally liked and accepted me. My brother was happy that finally, I was able to live a normal life and make friends with everyone, regardless of what gender they were. I'm happy my life turned out much better. If you've ever experienced anything like this, please share it in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video for others like this.